rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire. Like a bright shining light. Getting more out of life. Sharing time with friends. Feeling so strong.
Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy and I'm joined as always by the wonderful Joe Stanley. Hello, Joe.
Darcy, it's always my great joy to sit here with you and on one of my favourite weekends of the year, the AFL Grand Final. Although for the second year running, the only sound coming from the great MCG will be crickets, and we don't mean the ones that use bats and balls.
Well, that is a challenge for those that love their AFL football in Victoria. Clearly to have the Grand Final now 2 years in a row at the Gabba. Great for Queensland, who did a fantastic job with the Grand Final last year. Richmond winning that one. And now in Western Australia for the first time, sensational stadium over there. We've got two Melbourne-based teams. Yes. The Melbourne Footy Club, 57 years since they won a grand final, the famous Melbourne Football Club, and the Bulldogs, a team that I love, Joe, only their fourth time in a grand final. They'd only won two previously, back in 1954 and 2016. So unbelievably exciting time of the year. Brilliant to see two Melbourne-based teams in a grand final, although it's in Perth.
Yeah, absolutely. Thrilling to see those two teams, and I can't decide which of them I love more, to be honest.
Yeah, I can get Melbourne supporters if you've waited that long your whole life. Yeah. Pretty exciting, isn't it, to think that you're going to win a grand final after so long. But the red, white and blue runs through the veins. And on this AFL Grand Final weekend, I caught up with a very special person behind one of the greatest ever AFL players, the great Stephen Silvagni, legend of the Carlton Football Club. Well, his wife, Jo, is part of a new campaign that's all about protecting our legends, and I'm going to have more on that a bit later on the show.
We'll also look at a new fitness craze that gives participants the ultimate high. Steve Biddulph talks about the art of tapping into our super sense, and Hinesy and GQ will put the fire into your day with a Mexican-inspired breakfast. Yum!
Well, to kick things off, tattoos are everywhere these days. They're way more visible and socially accepted than they were in the past. In fact, 1 in 5 Aussies has a tattoo. And Joe, you're one of them.
Yes, Darcy, I have got quite a few pieces, and that number of 1 in 5 jumps to 29% of Gen Ys who love a bit of ink. And what did surprise me is that more women have tats than men here in Australia.
That's interesting. And do yours have any special significance? Does that get annoying when people ask that? Do you have a favourite one? Is there something that you can share with us?
Well, it's not annoying because people love talking about their tattoos, so you might regret asking me, actually. But, of course, all of mine have a significance. I have ones that I love because they're really beautifully drawn. I have one of Lucille Ball because she's a bit of a spirit animal of mine as a comedian and a producer, and reminds me of my nana. But my favourite one, actually, is just these 5 dots here. Very simple, just dots on my hand, because that is where, when I held Willow's hand when she was little, that's where her fingernails would sit when I walked down the street holding her hand.
That is beautiful. See, I think I'm the sort of person that would be ridiculous if there was a tattoo on me. Just not going to work for me, is it?
Why?
That ship sailed for me.
It depends where you put it.
Well, it's a good point. Well, there's all kinds...
It depends what it's of.
That's another good point as well. There's all kinds of reasons why people get them to mark a special life event, like the birth of a child or getting married, Joe, but some people get one on impulse and then regret it, or they might be marked with one that reminds them of something that they'd rather forget, Joe.
Getting them removed is expensive, which rules that out for a lot of people, which is where a remarkable tattoo removalist in Adelaide comes in. She offers a free service to help people erase negative memories and set them on their way to a fresh start.
Using the latest laser technology, Port Adelaide tattoo removalist Amanda McKinnon has helped hundreds of clients farewell their unwanted ink. But it's the stories of those who couldn't afford her services that have left a lasting impression.
There were a number of clients that had come in for consultations, sharing their stories about maybe how they got their tattoo and not being in a position to afford laser. And some of those stories were quite confronting. I know one that stuck with me was a girl that had come out of a domestic violence relationship. She was in a safe house and she had something quite offensive tattooed on her body and didn't want her kids growing up to be able to read that, but couldn't access laser because she couldn't afford it. So that sort of stuck with me, and that's where the Fresh Start program sort of evolved.
Since 2019, Amanda's business has been offering free tattoo removal to successful online applicants, including survivors of abuse, former gang members and anyone else seeking to put a difficult past behind them. Such as local mum, Alicia Alexander.
We're just going to go...
2017 was an amazing year, but also a terrible year. I had a baby in March and then diagnosed with breast cancer in October. So then I went to have therapies. I had surgery, chemo, radiotherapy, and just lots of appointments. One of them was to get medical tattoos placed on my chest. So when I was having daily radiotherapy sessions, I could be lined up in the correct position. And I didn't think much of those dots at all until after the therapy. One particular dot right in the centre really started to upset me a lot. It just sort of reminded me of, the bad times, and I would see that daily, getting dressed, walking past the mirror. And for me, I felt like it was a reminder, a branding that I was a patient still.
Right, Alicia, I'm just going to get you to pop those on for me.
Given Alicia's recent medical expenses, paying for multiple laser removal appointments was out of the question. But thanks to Amanda, her most painful memories are beginning to fade away.
I'm beyond grateful. I was when she reached out to me, I was in tears. I was like, this is possible and someone wants to help me. It'll be one little less traumatic memory gone.
Another applicant eager to start a new life chapter is James Cully, who is currently completing a home detention sentence after spending 4 years in jail.
Tattoos have always been really important to me since I was 18. I was able to start getting tattooed, but certain ones, tie me to a certain life that I don't live anymore, and I'm trying to move forward. Being recently released, I've had to save up for a lot of things, like refurnish a house, buy a car and stuff. So saving up for this just was not an option at all.
James has expressed that, he's often judged quite heavily for his face tattoos, and he'd love to be able to do more community service, like coach kids' soccer teams and things like that, and fully rehabilitate back into society. And to do that, he knows that his past has to come off his face for that reason, so he is more approachable to people.
In jail, there's quite a bit of programs and core programs you can get onto to help you, rehabilitate and stuff like that. But when you get out, it minimises quite drastically. You feel a bit sheltered and you feel like you're taking a few steps backwards, I guess. Especially when you're on home detention, you haven't got as many resources as you did when you're in there, So to have someone that supports me, like Amanda herself, that got me onto this program, it's the feeling I can't even explain. It's great to know that I've got someone like that that supports and wants to help me move on with my life.
So far, Amanda's life-changing program has been entirely self-funded.
Just going to line everything up.
But as hundreds of applications keep flowing in, she's eager to explore new funding options to give more Australians the fresh start they need.
I think in this day and age, it's really easy to judge people, whether that's based on their tattoos or what they wear or maybe a past mistake they've made in their life. But when someone, reaches out and offers a helping hand to someone to be able to heal or move forward or leave that past behind, I think it's quite powerful, and I think we need more of that kindness in this day and age. So, that's really important to me, to be able to continue and provide that.
Moving on from bad past experiences isn't always easy, and it's ultimately about changing thought patterns and memories, but tangible things like removing a tattoo can really help.
I guess being confronted by an image of something that reminds you of something you'd rather forget every day that's permanently displayed on your body would be pretty tough, like a constant reminder every day of something that isn't positive.
Yeah, and if you're a different person, it's not necessarily something you want to actually demonstrate to the rest of the world. I saw this amazing documentary once about a woman in America who's removing tattoos from people who have been associated with things like white supremacy and, in their youth did things they really regretted. And now they've gone on and had families and they're in school communities and they just don't want people to see that part of who they were in the past.
And I understand the past, removing them used to be an extraordinarily painful thing, like 10 times more painful than getting them. But I think the technology's improved on that front as well, which is a good thing. Up next, I chat with Jo Silvani about her personal quest to protect our legends. We'll be back right after this. It's September, which is not just about Liptember, Joe. It's also Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. And for us guys, it's a topic that isn't the most comfortable, but it is becoming that way thanks to conversations opening up on men's health, helping to loosen up guys a little bit more about men's issues where we're not traditionally that great at.
It's true, Das. It's the most commonly diagnosed cancer in Australian men and takes far too many lives every year. Things have changed since the 80s, though. The 5-year survival rate is now almost 100%, and if it's detected at stage 1, which is exactly why we need to encourage the men in our lives to get checked often.
And that is the message behind a new national charity that's calling on a host of famous faces to generate awareness and get the male legends in our lives to look after their prostate health. And one of those famous faces is a great friend of ours, Joe Silvani, who has a very personal reason to get behind the campaign. Now, this is a really personal story for you. I understand you lost your father at a young age. He was only 55 years of age. Can you tell us about that?
So I was 24 and he had just a couple of things that didn't seem quite right. And anyway, when he finally went to get tested, he had waited maybe too long and unfortunately his prostate cancer had moved to his bones as well. And his prognosis was 3 months, but he lasted or survived another 2 years. But had he got tested maybe a little sooner, you know, we may have still had him here.
So you're recently engaged and, you know, he's missed out at that age. He's missed the weddings and the
No, he got to the wedding.
Got to the wedding,
we brought the wedding forward.
Well done, yeah.
So he got to the wedding. He saw 1 grandchild, but missed 9 other grandchildren, including my 3 boys. I was 7 months pregnant with Jack when Dad passed away.
And you still, all these years later, Father's Day, and you think of all those moments that were missed that perhaps, you know, you could have still had your dad with you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, Father's Day is pretty tough, but I think about him every day, really. He was a Collingwood supporter, and so and I believe in signs after someone passes away, and so if my car's dirty, a magpie will, you know, poo on my car, and there's always a magpie around. Like the magpies just seem to sit on our nature strip, and you know, whenever I see a magpie, I think of Dad.
So if you look back, was your dad someone that took his health serious? Was he a fit guy? Were you surprised when that happened?
Yeah, he was a fit guy. He felt like he had, you know, something wasn't quite right, and he went to his doctor. And, you know, 24 years ago, it was different back then. You know, you'll be right. You're 55, hormones are changing a bit. You'll be right. You'll be right. Whereas a lot more men talk about it now. They talk about prostate. They know they've got a prostate. And so I think because we talk about it, because information is really accessible, if we're not happy with a diagnosis from a specialist, we'll question them, we'll go for a second opinion. So until we're satisfied with the answer that we get.
And the campaign you're talking about now is protecting legends. Your dad was a legend for you and a legend for everyone in your family. So how do we go about supporting this?
So you can buy a legendary bucket hat. Yeah. It's $20 and you go onto the website, ruleprostatecancer.org.au, and tell your friends all about it, and then go onto social if you can and hashtag protecting legends to spread the message.
So you're surrounded by boys in your life, Joe, with the 3 sons and Sauce we love and know. But your passion now to make sure early detection amongst your immediate loved ones?
Awareness is key and education is key. So it's not just about our dads, it's about our brothers, our sons, our husbands, our uncles, any man in our life that is a legend we want to protect, and we want to make them aware that testing is key, and early testing, proper treatment and the right care, it's a survivable disease.
Joe, we've had doctors on the show before that talk about the prostate and the many functions of that one small gland that sits deep inside the groin area. It's only about the size of a golf ball, but it's pretty important.
Oh, it's small but wields a lot of power, Das. And the good news is if it does become abnormal, it can be picked up really early, which is why regular checks are so important, especially when the men in your life reach around 50-ish. And I brought this up with my husband just this last weekend. He's 52. And
How'd that go with Daz?
Not well, right? Because he didn't even know what the symptoms are of potentially having an enlarged prostate. But the thing is, you can have no symptoms and still have an issue with your prostate. You've got to go and get the PSA test, which is just a blood test. Yep. It's just a blood test, nothing to be scared of.
Yeah, very simple and easy and pain-free. You can support rural prostate cancer by buying a bucket hat and sharing a pic of you on social media with the hashtag #ProtectingLegends. Details on how to take part are on our website.
Hi, I'm Jade Kisnorbo and welcome to my world of beauty. From the latest trends in skincare and makeup to creating a look that's just right for you, I've got the tips and tricks to make you look and feel great from the inside out. Sarah, if I've learned anything in the last 12 months, it's that all those beauty rituals that we swear by can be done in the comfort of our own home. So we can still feel and look great at home.
Absolutely, Jade. It is a whole new world, particularly in the area of hair removal. Finishing Touch Flawless have made our lives simple and painless by creating 2 devices that are gentle for all skin types and tones.
That's right, Sarah. Say goodbye to tweezing, waxing, plucking, threading, or depilatories, and say hello to this fancy device, which looks like a cosmetic tool.
That sounds like the finishing touch on my home beauty regime.
Ooh, I like that one. What I love about the Flawless range overall is that it's provided simple solutions for all of our everyday beauty struggles, and they're dedicated to helping women look and feel their best.
I'm really excited to try the Finishing Touch Flawless device first because it just looks so discreet and sleek. It's like something I could easily pop in my handbag, so I'm really intrigued.
I agree, Sarah. It's really chic, and as you can see, it's got the beautiful 18-karat gold plated hypoallergenic head. As you've switched it on there, you can see that it has the inbuilt LED light, so it makes sure that you're going to miss no hairs.
So gentle, I'm really surprised. I've got quite irritable skin. I can feel that it's not going to cause any redness. It's just, yeah, quite
It's very soft and painless. If you can't get to the spa or the salon, I think it's probably a great time to actually trial this at home, because the benefit of removing peach fuzz from your face is that your entire base is going to go on so smooth and look beautiful and flawless. Brows are so important to me. They frame the face, and that's why I love the Finishing Touch Flawless Brows. I mean, the device is shaped perfectly, like a pen. And I often find that this area, in between my hairline and my brow, just always has those tiny, fine hairs. So because of its shape, I can just glide it up and down here, and it gets rid of any of those nasty hairs.
And another thing that helps me enormously is that you don't have to wait for all your hairs to grow back to use it again. So that awkward in-between swamp creature phase when you're growing your hair out before you can use it again, you can use these every day. You get to avoid that. So now you've had all your finishing touches, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling absolutely flawless.
You look absolutely flawless.
Now, Joe, we often talk about the benefits of yoga and meditation here on the House of Wellness, and my wife Beck is a yoga instructor, which has actually been fascinating during lockdown to see with the 6 people in our house, the 4 kids, who used to roll their eyes a bit at their mum. I'm not that impressed with the fact that you do yoga, but they all now have got some sort of yoga practice that are doing, not every day, but it's been a nice addition to lockdown.
Oh, I think that's a beautiful gift to your household, although I do know that last year you injured your neck trying to do a headstand. So
well, apparently yoga's not competitive, Joe, and I was trying to do things that I shouldn't have been doing. That is frustrating because she is incredibly flexible, and I look and go, I would like to be able to do that, but not in 100 years am I going to be able to do that.
Well, look, I've got a love-hate relationship with yoga. There's a lot about it that I love. I love meditation, but I've never been very good at it. But during lockdown, the last however many lockdowns we've had, I did discover yoga with Adrienne, who is a worldwide phenomenon. She has like 10 million followers, and she changed my life. So I have really loved watching her online on a fairly regular basis. Another thing that my daughter and I are quite addicted to is Pink. I don't know if you've seen her documentary, but she's amazing. We've been watching that non-stop. And you see her in concert flying through the air above the stage using aerial skills. She's unbelievable, so fit. And I bet it feels really amazing She also did a performance with her daughter Willow, same name as my daughter. I got it first. Her daughter's 9 and they sang at the Billboard Music Awards. It was really beautiful to see that. And the two of them, they're just adorable.
She's incredible, Pinker. What a great story. And you can work your way up to that, Joe. I can see you and Willow starting small, maybe just maybe a couple of inches off the ground and then up to the trapeze at some stage.
I'm pretty terrified of heights, so I don't think I'll be doing that. But if being suspended in the air sounds appealing and you don't mind a bit of yoga, well, how about trialling them both at once? Here's Sarah Davidson with a lesson in the ultimate fitness high.
What isn't there to like about yoga? An ancient spiritual practice focusing on breathing, flexibility and strength, all in the quest for improved well-being of body and mind. But what happens if you turn it on its head? And I don't mean downward dog.
Let the feet together. Go with your breath. When you're ready, go.
Hit a hammock class and try some gravity-defying yoga poses. It's uplifting, it's freeing, and you won't believe the heights it takes you to.
Aerial yoga is based on traditional yoga. So while we use the aerial fabric to holding the body weight, which can really help release your body. Now lean forward, come into your high plank. Hold it there, inhale.
How is an aerial yoga workout different to a regular yoga class?
Building the deep chest with the silk when you're upside down. And you learn the different experience with the silk. Bend your elbows. Exhale, pull the front body towards your back body. Tuck your toes. They're also building a strong foundation and through your physical body. Let the mind slow down when the body feels stronger. And at the end, the body feels taller and lighter. Lifting the sternum, don't drop the hip. Keep your left leg really strong, help. Inhale, lengthening the spine.
What kind of a workout do you get doing this class?
We do a lot of upper body strengths and the core strengths, the leg strengths. During the class. Yeah, all in one. Turn the right side in, turn the rotate, and then come into the king pigeon.
What's your favourite part of the workout?
I really love the inversions, like going upside down, because I find that it helps my spine relax. And I had back pain before, and it's just really helped me get rid of that pain. And I really love that about the aerial yoga.
It's really relaxing and calming, and it really helps me to be connected to my physical and my mental status.
Always after aerial class, I just feel like I'm full of energy to do the work that I want to get done. So yeah, I feel great.
Exhale, pull yourself, go up. Arms open to the side, bow forward.
My favourite pose in a yoga class is Shavasana. Can you do it in these hammocks?
Definitely. We finish all the yoga session at the end with the nice, beautiful, quite calming Shavasana. You come into the front of the silk. Let the hands holding the silk, palm facing backwards. Push your silk down, walk or jump in. So like the whole body, like the drop. And feel the gravity. And feel yourself. Close your eyes. Relax the face. Let the mind keep calm.
What an amazing class to watch, and after so many challenging poses up in the hammock, how delightful to unwind in cocoons like these.
Bring the arms inside, palms together. Let the thumbs close to the sternum. Exhale, bow to the heart. Namaste.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness Kitchen, where Gerald and I love celebrating healthy foods no matter what time of day we're eating them. Case in point, mate, I am about to make this delicious Mexican salad with chili eggs, which I am going to devour, even though it is well past breakfast time.
And so you should, Heinzie. Look at those healthy ingredients: eggs, seeds, nuts, kale, a whole bunch of goodness, and an elusive nutrient.
OK, so you had me and then you very quickly lost me.
I'm talking here about the vitamin D in your egg yolks, Heinzie. Now, vitamin D is a nutrient that doesn't occur often in foods because it's produced in our skin by sunshine.
OK, I'm back. The sunshine vitamin.
Exactly. Now, vitamin D plays such an important role in our immune health, our nervous system health, and our bone health.
And its support of healthy bones comes down to its relationship with calcium. Vitamin D helps our bodies absorb calcium. So if we're lacking in vitamin D, it can affect our body's ability to absorb that much needed calcium. And we all know that calcium is required to build and maintain strong bones.
And that's right, Heinzie. And low levels of vitamin D can occur in winter months when we're spending less time outside and there's less strength in the sun, or when we're avoiding the harmful UV rays.
Feels like a catch-22, GQ.
Well, not to worry, Heinzie. Vitamin D is available in supplement form, in a vanilla-flavoured drop that's easy to use and very handy for those who'd rather avoid the traditional tablet.
Well, I'm about to break tradition by eating a very breakfasty meal at a non-breakfasty time, GQ.
Well, Heinzie, as we say in the classics, that's excellent.
You did not just do that, Dad joke.
Well, I couldn't think of anything else to say.
Well, get out. The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Bioceuticals D3 Drops Fort, a high-dose vitamin D3 drop to support healthy bone strength and development.
Heinzie and GQ kickstarting the day with some serious spice there, Joe. Now, someone I really enjoy talking to is the world-renowned psychologist Steve Biddulph. The Aussie dad and now granddad as well is a best-selling author of some incredibly insightful books, including Parenting Bibles, Raising Boys and Raising Girls.
Well, Steve's all about encouraging parents to spend more quality time with their kids, as well as being great role models and honouring boys' and girls' unique traits.
Yeah, and I got a lot out of our chat last time with Steve where he talked about the toxicity of social media, especially amongst young girls. He also said that if you could encourage families to do one simple thing to improve the family dynamic, Joe, it would be slow things down and give more time to each other.
He's so great to talk to about anything, and now he's turned his focus from parenting to people of all ages, Darcy.
Yeah, and his latest book, Fully Human, is brilliant. Couldn't recommend it anymore. It's all about the parts of our mind that we rarely or never use. Fascinating stuff. Here is some more with Steve Biddulph. Steve, what was your motivation behind writing your latest book, Fully Human?
My real interest about it, Luke, is that all my books in the past have been about raising kids. But the real bottom line of it all, of course, is looking after the mental health of mums and dads, because if mums and dads are in a good place, of course, it's just straightforward that they can take care of their kids just fine. And so this book is kind of like what I've taken from a lifetime of being a therapist, and some really exciting things that came out about the way our gut feelings work to sort of underpin our mental health, which is something I'd never heard of. But when I look back at all my patients over the years, I realised that it was a really key factor in understanding how our minds work when they're working well. And so that's what the new book is about.
I think all of us can relate to when we make a decision based on that really strong feeling. It's almost always right, isn't it?
It's always worth listening to. Look, sometimes it can be wrong as well.
Yeah.
But the thing that we realise that gut feelings are actually happening all the time. If as you're listening to me right this minute, Luke, if you go down inside your middle of your body, or people watching the program, if you just go down inside yourself right now, you'll notice there's kind of sensations going on. And they're relating to what I'm, watching me talking and doing this interview, and your gut feelings are sort of saying, there's something in this, or this bloke's full of rubbish, or I wished I'd gone to the toilet before or whatever it is. It's always happening. And so it's not just an emergency thing. Your brain is sending you these messages every second you're alive. And so if you're just a mum or a dad hanging out with your children, your senses are picking up if there's something not quite right with one of your kids. You'll feel it down here first, and then you can think about what it might be. But your body is faster than you. And so we call it super sense, because it integrates all of everything around you. And that part of your brain can't talk to you. It can't sort of call out, because it's like the wild animal part of our brain. It talks by sending a message down the vagus nerve to our belly and sort of says, hey, pay attention to me. And what happens as you spend more and more time listening to this, you become more grounded. You're a little slower, but you kind of just go the right direction. And my super sense is saying, stop talking, Steve, now, and let Luke have a word in edgeways.
In Fully Human, your concept of the 4-story mansion, can you take us through the 4 stories and explain what they all mean?
Fully human means firing on all cylinders in a way. And so the ground floor of your mansion is your body, and the sensations and the healthiness and the aliveness of your body. The second floor is emotions. Emotions come out of your body, but they have the 4 primary feelings: happiness, sorrow, anger, and fear. And they're they're powerful, and they're your kind of life force. But they get a bit out of control. And so human beings grew another layer. And that's the 3rd floor, which is thinking. And a lot of people don't think very well. They'll do something and then they'll make up a reason why it was important to do, and that's back to front. And so the reason we talk to our children is that they don't end up in jail, because people end up in jail because of wrong thinking. They thought something was a good idea at the time, And so that's the 3rd floor. And then on top is a kind of a trapdoor that you don't notice for a while. It's just a little chink of light coming through, and you push on the trapdoor. And what do you know? There's sunshine and there's a big sky out there, and it's a roof garden. And spirituality is like the roof garden of your mind. And going to the beach, going to a rock concert, making love, walking in the bush. For some of us, it might be a religious thing, but it's the part of you that suddenly knows everything, that is part of everything, and it sorts you out. When you have that feeling of, you've just been surfing and you just feel amazing, that's a spiritual experience. You're in nature, you're only just a tiny little leaf on this brilliant tree of nature, and that's a healthy, realistic thing to know, and it makes your worries just feel quite small, which is what they should be. So the 4 floors, and you travel up and down in the lift as often as you can, turn on all the lights and live in the full beauty of your mind. And that's what fully human means.
So, Das, do you find you trust your gut more often than your common sense brain?
It's a good question, Joe, and I've actually been thinking a lot about this lately, that I reckon all the good decisions that I've made in my life have come from that really deep intuition, that super sense that Steve Biddulph talks about. I love the idea of really trusting the way we think in our deep intuition.
Yeah, I like that too, because I think we have an inner compass, all of us, that tells us what's right for us, what our values are and what aligns with who we really are. But we cloud it with what people tell us and what we believe should be the way for us forward. But often, the inner compass is there.
Yeah, delve back into that is a good thing. Well, up next, a way to take medicine that's not a bitter pill to swallow. We'll be back right after this.
As an artist, I love concealer, and I think every makeup artist or anyone that loves beauty will always have concealer in their kit. Concealer corrects, so if there's any natural girls out there or there's any full coverage girls out there, concealer's that one universal product that applies to all of you.
My experience with using concealer is figure it out as I go along. Do I have a blemish? Do I have purple under my eyes? But whether or not I'm doing it right or choosing a shade that's appropriate for my skin tone, who knows?
I like to apply the product just to the back of my hand like this and work it up on the back of your hand, and then go directly into just where your tear duct is here and the inner of your nose, because that's an area that a lot of us get quite dark. And I'm going to apply some like so. People are often scared of using concealer because of the colour. As a rule of thumb, I tend to say go 1.5 shades lighter than your foundation or your bronzer. You want to brighten that area. So what's special about the Revlon Colorstay 24-hour Skin Awaken Concealer? There are 4 skin tone shades, which range from light to medium deep. There's also a neutralizer concealer, which is really great for getting rid of any of the dullness or yellow undertone. And then my favourite, the brightness concealer, and that gets rid of any redness or any areas where you've got a little bit of purple or pink undertone. Another thing that I really think separates it from other concealers is the fact that it's got the added skincare benefits, so the vitamin C and the caffeine. If you grab your ring finger and you just lightly press onto that area near the tear duct, all the way to the centre of the eye, and just enough pressure that it's not too rough, but it'll work in the concealer really nicely.
I'm trying to think what I normally do. I think I would just get my middle fingers and rub it on in.
I think the majority of people do that. And I think, Millie, it's a really tender area with your skin being a lot thinner. So people are often quite rough. So you'll see with such small, gentle movements how beautiful the concealer will sit around that area. So now I know that you said your chin was the other area that we wanted to focus on today, where you have a little blemish. You've got amazing skin, so it's just the tiniest amount that we need to apply. I tend to not have my hands involved. I tend to keep it to the applicator and then buff it in with the brush. So when it comes to acne, pimples or scarring, it's a little bit more complicated. So colour correct, then apply your foundations or your base, and then go back in with a pinpoint brush and add that concealer on and then set it with a powder. It's really important for your concealer to have that erasing function, but also have a really beautiful base that doesn't go flaky or dry. The fact that it's creamy and buildable, and when you're popping on your concealer, it's able to very seamlessly blend into your skin, and whilst doing that, really nourishing and moisturising that area. So something that has always stuck with me, and I was taught early in my career, is give a woman an even, beautiful skin tone and she will feel instantly confident. And I swear by that myself.
I've learned a lot from you today, and I think I'm going to change up my whole concealer routine now.
Your concealer game will be strong.
Absolutely. I won't be laying it on as thick as perhaps I used to be doing it.
For anyone who avoids concealer, you need to get it. It will change your life. Sorry, but I have to.
Well, that was JK there with Millie Brearley, who's now a whole lot more educated about the tricks and tips of a good concealer.
So, Jo, on another tangent altogether, how are you at taking pills or medicine when you have to?
I'm very good at it.
Are you really? Can you elaborate on that or not?
No issues with it, no.
Well, according to a Harvard Medical School report, 1 in 3 people gag or choke when they try to swallow a pill. And some people have an actual physical condition that makes it difficult. Others simply struggle just with the thought of being able to take their medicine.
So you can chop it up into smaller pieces or even grind it into some sauce or some honey. This is what we do with our dog, Daisy, put it in peanut butter. Or there is an alternative method for taking meds or vitamins that's painless, easy and has a lightning fast result.
You've done a lot of research into how the body reacts to various stimuli like heat or certain foods like salt. It really is fascinating learning how our systems work and what we can do to get the best out of them, isn't it?
Definitely. The body is fascinating. There are so many different mechanisms that we explore all the time, and different researchers are looking at avenues to deliver medications.
So I want to talk a little bit more about those systems and getting them to work optimally, particularly one known as sublingual. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. Sublingual, it's a Latin word meaning under the tongue, and it's designed to deliver medications rapidly. The membranes there absorb quickly and it can go straight into the blood. This method is used if a patient is having a heart episode and the drug needs to be administered immediately.
This reminds me of another scientific term which describes another kind of effective physical delivery, liposomes. Can you explain those?
Yeah, so liposomes are small bubbles or microscopic spheres that house the drug or nutrients, and that allows for those to be delivered into our cells and taken up. So scientists discovered these in the 1960s, and they're designed, or they're very similar to our cell membranes. So when they deliver therapeutic molecules such as drugs or nutrients, they're well absorbed.
What do we get when we use liposomes sublingually?
We get rapid delivery of the drug or nutrients into our cells.
Okay, so liposomes administered sublingually maximise bioavailability.
Yes, that's right.
Yes!
A spray is an ideal way to deliver whatever your body needs by diffusing it directly into the bloodstream. It might be B12, vitamin C, or vitamin D to remedy a lack of sunlight, or turmeric for inflammation. This is a way to maximise their potency. Sprays are also a great option for people who don't like or have trouble swallowing tablets, and you don't need water to take it. It's a super spray.
Well, Joe, each week on the House of Wellness, we try to bring an unusual environmental story, from plastic-free cling wrap to shoes made of cloth to wetsuits being transformed into playground surfaces. Even we've had concrete-free concrete.
Oh, yeah, I love the story about the white painted building and roofs reflecting heat and saving loads in cooling bills. Loved that one.
That was a ripper. Well, here's another one from southern Spain. A little town called Ahorn de Torre. The main shopping centre in the town used to be covered in a huge plastic tarp. The council decided to do their bit and swap it out for a more eco-friendly solution.
So they went to the people. A local art teacher and her students have made a massive patchwork of crocheted squares that's replaced the plastic tarp. It's made of all kinds of textiles with lots of geometric and colourful designs, and it's growing. It's now nearly 500 square metres, and they just keep adding to it. It's so beautiful.
I love that it's a community effort, Joe, and the fact that the council were supportive and open to the idea.
And how uplifting is it to look up and see all that colour rather than just that beige plastic tarp? It's gorgeous.
Very nice story to finish on today. That is it for the show. Make sure you check out our website. All the details from today's show are there at the House of Wellness.
Tune into the House of Wellness radio show with me and Gerald Quigley every Sunday. And you can check out our podcast as well, Best of You. It covers everything from surviving a breakup to breaking a bad habit. You can check it out wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm in that space too, Joe. Loving the podcast, empowering leaders. You can find at all your good podcast outlets. Pat Cummings, Australian cricketer, I spoke to this week. Steve Biddulph, we had on the show about parenting. Enjoying all of it.
Sounds awesome. And don't miss the spring edition of the House of Wellness magazine featuring the super talented Jess Malboy on the cover.
Thanks as always to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse. Stay well and we'll see you next time.